Ground School Online Academy. So today we have another amazing guest, and his name is Sir Craig. So Sir Craig, it's an honor to have you here. You are such a rich career across education, PR, and ethics. How do your journey start in communication and public relations begin?
How did it get started? By accident. It was, as I'd like to tell the story, is when I first went to college, I studied English literature because I loved literature. And that's fine. I graduated with a degree in English literature. And here's where the story starts. This was 1968. There was something going on called the Vietnam War. And me, like everyone, said, I really don't want to go to war. What can I do? I have to join the military somewhere, but what do I? And so I joined the United States Air Force, enlisted, went off, and during my basic training, my sergeant called me one day and said, "You have an interview." Okay. What? And it was to an opportunity. They were interviewing, looking for people to teach English as a second language. And interesting. I have an English degree. Maybe I can do this. So really, really good. And finally, I thought I asked. I said, "Where will I be teaching?" "Oh, Vietnam." Ooh. Okay. Wound up in Vietnam teaching English in the Air Force, and was enjoying my career in the Air Force when was moving up in responsibilities, and my superiors kept giving me more things to do. And I decided I needed to get a business management degree because I was doing what I thought was business management. And so I started this, and I finally had to take an elective course. This is where you pick anything you want to, doesn't matter. And you always look for the very easiest thing you can find. And I found this course, and it was called Introduction to Public Relations. I read the description and I said, I can do this. This is easy. So I signed up for the course, got the book, started reading the book, and I said, oh my, that's what I've been doing for the last 3 years in the Air Force. I didn't know that's what it was called. I had never heard of public relations. So this is how I got started, completely by accident. But the management degree allowed me to really become more knowledgeable, to know more about how to run a business, what to do. So it was good choices. I got started, but again, how did I get as I tell my students, how did I get into public relations? Completely by accident. And I don't regret 1 minute.
Okay, that's amazing. So, like you just type it in accidentally, but you love your passion, so that's really good. So let's go to my next question, and that is, what's inspired you to move from practicing PR to teaching at universities like Curry College and the University of
Now,
Tampa?
and that's an interesting, it's a transition, and we all go through this in our lives. I had, by this, when I started teaching in 2000, the year 2000, I had been working in public relations, either for the United States government or in the private sector for 25, 30 years. And I was having a difficult time finding something that would be challenging that I could move up into. And was doing some job searching. And one day I was sitting at home saying, what am I going to do here? My telephone rang. I answered the telephone, and it was a friend at a university in Boston, Massachusetts, where I was living, Emerson College. And she said, you're always over here talking to our students about public relations. Would you be interested in teaching public relations? So she had me schedule me for an interview. I went in and was hired to teach a course at the university in graduate public relations, so at graduate level. Kind of cool. I go home and I'm thinking, this is pretty nice. My telephone rings again. I answered the phone. It's a friend at another university. We need someone to teach an undergraduate public relations course. Would you be interested? Yeah. So, long story short, in about 1 year's time, I went from looking for a job to I was literally teaching part time at 3 different universities and having a wonderful time. And once I went into the classroom, I realized that this is where I need to be right now because I've got this experience that I can share with my students and help them find their path. So, again, a happy accident, but a lucky one. And I'm very, very happy to say that now for 25 years, I've been teaching what I did as a professional for 30 years.
Okay, so it's also a really interesting and amazing story. And let's go to our next question. And is you have studied everything from business management to English literacy. So, what did you think that this mix up of subjects shape your communication style?
That's a good question. I would say, and I was thinking about this, studying English and English literature, I learned how to write, how to tell a story, how to gather information and make it interesting. I remember one time in one of my English literature classes, we had to go in front of the class and give a presentation. And I started off like I usually do, and I started telling a story. And one of my friends was looking and she looked, oh my, what are you doing? And I realized many years later that I was getting people's interest, that literature had taught me what it is that makes people want to continue reading or listening to you. So that the literature part taught me that part, literally the communication part. The business management taught me what I needed to know to be successful, either working in an organization or working for myself. Again, I tell stories all the time. One job that I went to as a communication director, the first thing our chief financial officer told me was, you need to develop a budget for your department. I need it by the end of the week. I came back in 2 days and handed him a very detailed financial budget. And he said, you're the first communication person we've ever had who could do that. How did you do it? I said, well, I studied business management. So again, it allowed business management allowed me to build on the other skills that I need to be successful. It's not just about writing and talking. It's about being able to conduct a business and to be successful.
Okay, very good answer, and I really appreciate. So let's go to our next question. And my next question is: you have been deeply involved with PRSA for years. So, in your view, how was public relations involved over the last 2 decades?
It's, the one thing, and I think we know this already, is that the need for immediate communication has really grown exponentially. I think back and I remember, sort of one thing from history is World War II. I remember when we had the bombing of Pearl Harbor and the things that sort of started the war for us in the United States. The president had almost a week to gather his information, organize his thoughts, and then go talk to the media. We don't have that luxury anymore. It's immediate. Things happen. So, as a public relations professional, you can't just say, okay, it's 5 o'clock in the evening. I'm finished with my job. I can go home and go to sleep. No. Yes, you can go home, but you need to be watching the news. You need to be paying attention today to social media. What are people saying about your organization? And being ready with the answer. And I've seen this throughout my career where things have happened, and I'll watch the news and something comes up and I go, uh-oh. And so I just immediately write out some thoughts. And when I go to work the next day, I walk into the president's office and say, this is what happened. Here's what we need to be thinking about. What do you think? So it's immediate and it's global. It's no longer, I don't have to worry about what just happens in Florida. That would be very, very nice if that's all I cared about. No, what's happening in Pakistan? What's happening in Taiwan, my second home? What's happening everywhere? And how does that affect my business? So it's fascinating, it's fun, and it's very, very challenging.
Yeah, so yeah, very good answer, and keep on eye on everything. So it's on you. What are you thinking about, and you're like apart. So yeah, very good answer of this. So let's go on our next question, and my next question from you is, what are the most common mistakes you see young PR professionals making today, and how can they avoid them?
Yeah, the one thing that I do see a lot, and I'm not exactly sure how I can change people's thinking, is reluctant. They students sometimes won't tell you what they're worried about, or if they've got a problem, they don't come to you and say, "I have a problem. Can you help me with it?" And that's what those of us at the higher level. That's what we're here for. We've already been through this stuff. And so it's again, it's being willing to ask the questions and listen to it and take the advice if it works for you. If it doesn't, that's another thing. I again have to give a quick example here. Is I took a group of students many years ago to a public relations society meeting in Boston, again, where I was living. And it was the presidents of 3 public relations agencies talking about their expectations for their employees, what they wanted you as an employee to be able to do, and this kind of stuff. It was fascinating, and it was real life. We're leaving the meeting, and one of my students, who was one of my superstars, she was one of the best students I've had. She took everything I taught. She came, I need to talk to you. And I said, okay. I don't think I want to do this public relations stuff anymore. Okay, what do you want to do? And she said, my major is communication, public relations. My minor is social work. I love social work. Change your major to social work. So she did. She changed. Now, we're talking almost 20 years later. She is a very senior member of a large hospital in Boston doing social work. And I say that because she was willing to come forward and say, love you to death, Kirk, but I don't like what you do for a living. This is what I would prefer to be doing. Be willing to tell people what you're thinking. So it's the only way. It's a way to get ahead. It's a way to avoid some mistakes, not all. You're always going to make mistakes. I do every day, but at least you can get someone who's been there to help you get a focus.
Okay, amazing. So let's go to our next question. And my next question from you is, how important is listening in communication and PR, and what made you join the Global Listening Center?
Well, listen, listening is, if there's a list of to do, everything you need to do in public relations, listening is up at the top. You need to know what people are saying about you, your organization, the field that you represent, everything, so that you can be ready when, if the situation arises, and it's almost a guarantee it will, you can be ready to address the issue. But you have to listen. What are they saying? Are they happy? Are they upset? What are the, what's going on? So very, very important to do that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, the Global Listening Center, interestingly, they reached out to me and asked if I would join them to work. Now, I work with them in their ethics department, and really it's just watching to see what's going on in the education world and in the world in general, and emphasizing to everyone, again, the importance of listening.
Okay, that's great. So you just explained that how the like listening key point really help, and I also just think that listening is really a important key core in our life. So yeah, very good question answer about this. Okay, so let's go to our next question, and my next question from you is: do you think AI and digital tools are changing the real essence of human communication in PR?
That's, I would say they're not changing the essence of communication. What they are changing is the absolute need for constant awareness. Um, and again, it's a challenge going back to the listening and to the ethical parts of it. Is it's easy to use AI to create things, but you need to be sure that what you're creating is something that will help your organization move up, move forward, and succeed. So it makes our lives a little bit easier, but it also makes our lives a whole lot more challenging, because you have to pay attention to what is being created and then communicated.
Okay, so that's amazing. So is am I audible?
I'm
Am
sorry.
I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. So my internet just stuck. Okay,
Oh,
so sorry for that. Okay, let's go to our next question. And my next question from you is: you have worked with PRSA ethics and professional standard board. What ethics challenges are most considering in today's digital communication world?
I think the most concerning are how your communication, what you are saying, doing, whatever it may be here, how are they being perceived by others? Because it's one thing to say, okay, so we can send our message out to the entire world, but what are they hearing? What are they seeing? What do they believe in their hearts? It's just being sure that what you are saying is honest and is your thinking, not someone else's thinking. Don't take credit for someone else's work. It has to come from you. So I see that's the biggest thing there, because it's so easy to say, okay, chat GPT, create, blah, blah. But where did that message come from? And does it really reflect? Does it show who you and your organization are and the good that you can do?
Okay, great answer, and I really think about this, and you are true about it. So okay, because doing everything from AI and taking help from AI is good, but like just depend on that is not really the answer. Okay, so that's great. Okay, let's go to our next question, and my next question from you is, how can communicators maintain honesty and transparency when working with brands or clients under pressure?
Once again, and it's easy to say it is very, very difficult to do it sometimes. You have to, in your heart, believe that what you are saying or what you are doing is the right thing. And I have had very serious conversations with my bosses, the CEO, the president, and where I have said, this is what the people are seeing. You this is what we need to be saying. So you can't say, oh, well, nobody's going to know. Yes, they will. And they will call you out on it. Someone will say something. So again, it's just that part of it. Do not lie. Tell the truth and be open. My sort of, when I talked to reporters from the very beginning, I was still an intern working in public affairs, public relations. Reporters would call me and they say, can you tell me what you people are doing? And my answer was, I will not tell you. I will show you. Come out to my organization. I'll show you what we're doing. How more transparent can you be? I won't just tell you what I'm doing here. I will let you go into the laboratory, into the workroom, whatever it may be, and let you see with your own eyes what's going on. And what happens that way is your story gets told correctly and positively.
Okay, yeah, that's really great answer, because I also think that if you tell someone about that what you are doing or like that, so they don't believe, and sometimes they think that you are lying. But be so much transparent, like invite them at your place, so they will believe that you are doing those things that they don't believe on. So yeah, that's really great answer. And okay, let's go to our next question, and my next question is, looking back, what are the most proud of in your professional journey so far?
You know, I think what I'm most proud of is helping organizations build respect, build support, and that, and because that's sometimes I have worked for organizations that literally, I'll give this again. I tell stories all the time. Um, is when my very, very, very first job. Again, I was an intern working for the United States Army Public Affairs, and I was given a permanent job as the public affairs officer for, it was the Army Intelligence School. It was a school teaching soldiers about different things in the military. And when my wife and I went up to the where we were going to be living, I went downtown, out just outside the Army base, and talked to business people. Hi, I'm Kirk Hazlett, and I'm going to be working at this organization. What can you tell me about them? Almost 100% of the people had no idea who I was talking about. Now, we had been on that Army base for 25 years, and these people didn't know who we were. So I went in to meet the commander, the president of the school. His first question to me was, "Why are you here?" Sir, I've been downtown talking to local business people. Nobody knows who you are. You have an image problem. I am going to fix it. So that was, again, by the time I left, moved on to a different assignment, a promotion, I took us from nobody knows who we are to we had been visited by United States senators, United States representatives, by the consul general of the country of Spain. People knew who we were and wanted to know how they could help us. So, proud moment, and always were happy that I did it.
Okay, so great confidence, and I think if there's any other person, so he can't do that. But yeah, that was really amazing. So and a good proud moment for you. So that's good. Okay, so I think we have to end our session here. So my last question from you is, like, can you please tell any advice and give any advice to me and for the viewers those are watching us?
I would say my advice is this, you know, give it give a lot of thought to what you really like doing, but talk to others. This is the thing I had to learn the hard way, was to ask other people if what I was doing was the right thing. So I would say this, you know, talk to your teachers, talk to, and I'll just use public relations because that's where I spend my life. Um, in whatever town, city you live in, there are public relations people. If you think you're interested in public relations, go talk to them. We, the senior people, the professionals, we're very, very happy to talk with students, share experience, share advice, but do that. If I had known, to go back to the very, very beginning, I had never heard of public relations. If I, and one last thing here, the English department where at my university was here. Right next door was the public relations department. I never heard of them. If someone had come to me, a professor, and said, Kirk, you are a very good communicator, you might want to talk to these people, it would have been a different story. Now, I'm glad I did what I did for a lot of reasons, but talk to them, talk to your teachers, talk to literally anyone who will listen and get their advice. Think about it. And as again, my last thing that I tell the students is dive into the deep end. If you don't know how to swim, figure it out on the way down. But be willing to take a chance. But know in your heart that this feels like it's the right thing to do.
Okay, so in the last, thank you so much for your precious time and from this like really good advice. And I know, yeah, connection matters, and if they don't matter right now, so they will be in future. So yeah, thank you so much for your precious time, and for the people those are watching us, thank you so much, everyone, and